Okay, welcome back. Taking a quick break from score chasing, we're going to be doing what is very rarely referred to as the Super Mario Bros. 3 second quest. You know, a handful of games on the NES, like The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link, and Super Mario Bros. 3, when you beat them, they allow you to keep playing. With Zelda, they give you the second quest, which is really cool. It's a more difficult, kind of like an arrange mode. Zelda 2, they allow you to play through with all your upgrades from the beginning. Super Mario Bros. 3, they start you at the beginning, and your inventory box is full of P-Wings, which is very cool. Now you can just fly through every level. The only thing is, an epic game, there's no, unlike Zelda and Zelda 2, there's no save function. So, you beat an epic game like Super Mario Bros. 3, you're not inclined to really play through it again on the spot. But we are playing it on the NES Classic Mini, which is great because we beat the game, we create a suspend point, and now we have a master file where we can start on the second quest whenever we wish. So that's awesome. On the Game Boy Advance version, which also had a battery backup save, you beat the game once, you get the second quest with all the P-Wings, but if you beat the game a second time, you beat the second quest, then they fill your item box with Hammer Bros suits, which I think is great. Unfortunately, that's not in the NES version. I desperately wish it were, though. By the way, this is going to be an abbreviated second quest playthrough. We're not going to be going through every board. We are just going to be playing get the warp whistles, go straight to World 8, and finish the game. Maybe someday we'll do a proper second quest playthrough, where we play through all the boards, use, power-ups constantly. That would be fun. It really is a missed opportunity that they didn't give you the third quest where you could play. Oops, forgot to use my P-Wing. Oh well, this is an easy level. But it would have been cool to have the Hammer Brothers suits in the third quest. Because the Hammer Brothers suits, you only get them. There's only like 2 or 3 in the whole game, and you get them very late. It just would have been cool to have the Hammer Brothers suit and be able to what the heck, we'll kill this guy. Alright, now we're going to use our whistles. Go straight to World 8. But yeah, I can even remember, like, even on the Switch, when the Nintendo Switch Mario Maker game came out, I thought, man, how awesome would it be to create my own levels where I could use the Hammer Bros suit and just, really, like, go to town and have fun. But for whatever reason, they decided not to put the Hammer Bros suit in the Mario Maker 2 game on the Switch. So, really big missed opportunity. Alright, so I'm sure many of you are getting kind of a little fed up of me talking about Cinemassacre, but so I am a fan of Cinemassacre. I'm a critical fan. I've seen the content really, like, taken a turn for the worse over the last I don't know, it's been almost 10 years. The channel just steadily getting worse and worse. And we may finally be seeing that reflected in the numbers. Last time I did a vid talking about Cinemassacre, I was talking about how the last 3 videos all failed to break 1 million. I think I was like score chasing like Balloon Fight or Donkey Kong Jr. or whatever. But his Halloween special Werewolf, his Mario Paint episode, and his, what was the third one? Time Cop, all failed to reach 1 million views. AVGN used to be able to get 1 million views within the first, used to be able to get over 1 million, like 1 million, 1.2, 1.3 million in the first 24 hours. Now that does not appear to be the case, though. You know, those last 3 all failed to break 1 million. The Mario Paint one, I was especially baffled by, because Mario Paint, you know, that's a very revered SNES title. It's ripe for the nostalgia effect. People fans of retro games to tune in and see what he has to say, see what the nerd would say about Mario Paint, just a beloved game, and the fact that it's failed to get even 1 million views, I think my guess is because, and many of us also guess the same thing, is that because he had Gwar in the thumbnail. You know, Gwar, the costumed heavy metal band. I'm a fan of them. I saw them twice when I was a teenager. Once on the We Kill Everything tour in 1999 with the Misfits in Atlanta at the Tabernacle. And then on the the Violence Has Arrived tour in, I think it was late 2001 or early 2002 at the Chamber in Atlanta. That was back when Dave Brockie was in the band. The band doesn't have, Dave Brockie, of course, passed away. He was the lead character singer, Odorous. He's been dead for a few years now, so I'm not sure what's going on with the band. I don't really pay attention. But they had Gwar in the thumbnail, and the views right out of the gate were bad. Well below what they should have been, so the operating theory is that Screenwave panicked, and they changed the thumbnail after only a couple days because the views were just too low. And they gave it the normal James making that stupid face thumbnail that they always give their videos these days. But yeah, Mario Paint, that failed to get 1 million. And of course, Time Cop also failed. But the last one, the Halloween one, was the Wolf video. That one, well below where it should be, only like 800,000 after a month. Almost 2 months now. But now he's doing his Christmas special, which is an E.T. video game on PS1. Obviously trying to, you know, when you think about how much he put into, E.T. was the one that he, you know, kind of based his movie around, so I guess he's kind of hoping to cash in on that nostalgia a little bit, but it does look like it's working. The video's only at 600,000 views or so after almost a week. So it very well may be that all of the lazy content is finally catching up with him. Maybe not, I don't know, lazy is kind of a harsh word, but subpar, the subpar content. Because his content objectively has been substandard, and it has been for a while. You know, I always think of that phrase from, or I think it was Hulk Hogan. He was talking about, the question may have been about business, but I think he may have been referring to WCW, you know, the pro wrestling company that did go out of business. And you can really apply this to a lot of things in life, but he says, I think referring to WCW and the mistakes that were made, he said, you can make all kinds of, it's like flying an airplane. You can make all kinds of little mistakes and be able to correct it. But if you make the big mistake, you know, you can only make one or two big mistakes without, you know, before that plane goes into a nosedive, and you can't fix it. It's a lost cause. And I kind of feel like that's where Cinemassacre is, that they've made a lot of little mistakes, but I feel like they've also made too many big mistakes. And one of these big mistakes, I'm wondering if it really should be rectified. Get James out of his basement. He records on his own time, at his own leisure, from his house. If I'm, you know, Justin Silverman, the producer, I'm saying, you know, that's enough of that. Because you can tell he's checked out. You know, it's like having someone that works from home. You know, during the pandemic, it was all good and well. But when the work suffers, you lose the privilege of working from home. You know, employers were realizing, hey, we're not really sure if we think our employees could be more productive if we, you know, actually have them come in. We don't, you know, we feel like there's too many people kind of ruining it for everyone else with, let's see, let's use a star here too. But we feel like there's too many employees that aren't taking the job seriously. Yeah, the privilege gets lost when the productivity suffers. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Yeah, is it too much to ask for? Ugh, can't believe I did that. It's too much to ask for James to, you know, put in some effort. Because you can just tell that he's checked out when you watch him. He looks and sounds like he'd rather be doing anything else than recording. So if I'm Justin Silverman, I'm building him a dedicated set at the Screenwave office, and I'm telling him, look, we need you to come in, you know, whatever it is, twice a week or, you know, 10 days out of the month, and we need you to, you know, do your best. We need you to act like you, we need you to act. See, I think that was the wrong pipe. Oh, why'd I do that? Oh well, I've got P-Wings. P-Wings to spare. You know, the example I always like to point at is nostalgia critic Doug Walker. You know, and although I'm not a fan of Doug Walker, I can respect the hustle. And Doug strikes me as someone who has no illusions about where he and his channel are right now. You know, Nostalgia Critic, he did, that was his flag, you know, just like how AVGN is James Rolfe and Cinemassacre's flagship. So too is Nostalgia Critic, Doug Walker, Channel Awesome, that guy with the glasses, that is his flagship. And, he used to only do a couple of those, or, every once in a while. But now, if you look at I haven't watched it, I don't like his content, but if you look at his channel, Doug is cranking out as much, he's milking it dry, the Nostalgia Critic. He will crank one out every day if he has to. He is dancing for nickels. He understands that if he takes a break or if he wants to, oh, I forgot, he flies at this point. But if Doug isn't cranking out Nostalgia Critic, every day or every other day or whatever it is, if he's not producing his crap quality content, he's become a garbage factory. He's cranking out as much garbage as quickly as possible. He can't do it fast enough. Everything must go. It's a Nostalgia Critic fire sale. So if James isn't careful, he's going to find himself in the same boat, where he's being forced to crank out, low quality, low effort AVGNs as quickly as possible. I guess he's kind of already there. And I usually let him hit me on the last one if I can spare it. Alright, there we have it. Second quest, and, you always get that little hope in your heart that maybe, just maybe this time, when I open up my inventory box, it'll be filled with Hammer Brothers suits, but we all know that's not the case. Oh, we can't skip the ending. We have to suffer the whole thing. That's okay. Whatever. It'll give us an opportunity to say whatever it is we didn't get the opportunity to say. And I think I said it all. Just wondering what's it going to take for them to turn it around at Cinemassacre? Or even, it could very well be, I've hypothesized this before, that they're not interested in turning it around, that, they're just going to take what they can get at this point. Whatever it is, whatever the views are, that's what they are, and I don't know. James has always struck me as someone who doesn't really listen to the fans anyway. They've rarely addressed any of concerns from fans. They did the podcast that one time where Bootsy and Kyle weren't really discussed all that much, despite that being something fans were genuinely interested in hearing about. And who could forget his infamous video where he did address the criticism, you know, and he defended Screenwave. You know, probably his funniest video. Unintentionally funny, but funny. Alright, let's see. Any Hammer Bros suits? Nope, all P-Wings. So, there you have it. Second quest all done. And we'll get back to score chasing soon. Oh, and if I didn't say it already, have a Merry Christmas.